Welcome to Make It Plain from Make Plain Jesus Ministries, where we take biblical truths in everyday situations and break them down to be as plain as possible. So, stay tuned and enjoy the broadcast.
Hello. In this version of Make It Plain, our podcast from Make Plain Jesus Ministries, we want to talk about a topic that, especially now during this time of folks staying at home and away from what was the normal routine, we want to talk about boredom. You know how it is at times when the schedules are changed a bit and people aren't able to do what they're accustomed to doing, that sometimes people sit and they just say, I'm bored. We often see this too, and I know that if you have kids, you'll understand what I'm talking about, especially if they're really small or young. And maybe you're traveling somewhere, or maybe you just told them to stay in a house for a day. And the first thing after about 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, I'm bored. That's the comment you get. I know that when our kids were younger, we taught them we don't want to hear that. There are plenty of things that you can find to do. So as parents, we never wanted them to come and just say, I'm bored. And so we look at it from the standpoint, look at what's around and you can find something to do. So today, and as we talk about this topic, we got to really think about this. Think about it from the standpoint of, what do you think is causing you to be bored? And so I'm not going to use I would say, dictionary definition. I'm going to use a definition of boredom or being bored this way. I'm going to say that it's really a change about what you're used to doing, or a change from the things that used to inspire you or excite you. And so when we talk about boredom, it's really those issues about not being able to get the thrill of doing whatever that activity is that you're accustomed to doing. And so that may be you want to be out to be able to go and socialize at a particular series of restaurants or a restaurant. Maybe it is going to the movies every weekend, every Friday or Saturday at a movie theater. Maybe it's attending a sporting event, or maybe it's being involved in the sports yourself. Maybe it's something just totally different that you're used to doing, whatever that is, or wherever it is that you like to go. Because of this situation, sometimes people feel like they're bored because they can't do what they have been used to doing. And so the question becomes, what do you do with boredom? How do you deal with it? And so during this podcast, we want to talk about 7 ways to combat boredom. 7 ways to combat boredom. And I'm not going to suggest to you that this is all exhaustive, that every option is in these 7 ways, but I'm going to give you 7 that will help you. And again, I always want to give you things that will be beneficial, or at least give you understanding on things to kind of help you in your everyday life. So when we talk about boredom today, regardless of your age, there are things that you can do to be able to combat it so that you're not sitting at home bored to tears like you're ready to pull your hair out because I got to get back to my regular schedule. That's not what we're suggesting you do. So let me help you and just follow along with me and just write these down, or re-listen to the podcast, or re-listen to it from the standpoint of, okay, let me apply this so that I can try it each day of the week. So the first one I want to give you, and the first one I was thinking of, really deals with this: stop fixating on what you don't have. Stop fixating or focusing on what you don't have. You see, a lot of times with boredom, the way that you know or you think that you're bored is you just look around and say, I don't have this. I don't have this. I used to have it, but I don't anymore. And what that does is get you to focus on things that are not beneficial. It lets you think about loss as opposed to what you have. And so when you think about loss, all you're doing is, I got to find a way to get it back. Until then, I can't function. And what you're doing is shutting down all your other opportunities. In fact, when you think so much about what you don't have, it brings down your optimism, your perspective on life. It makes it such that you can't prosper the way that you should. And so I would encourage you during this time that you may feel like you're shut in during this period in which most of the world is shut in, and even afterwards, these principles will apply. Sometimes when I've been bored in the past, I realized I had to stop thinking that way and change my whole thinking, change the whole focus, and just live with where I am and then get to the point of getting a different perspective. With a different perspective, I'm able to go forward and at least get through my day with some joy and some excitement. You know, not that I'm going to throw this in too much, but there is a part in the Bible in Matthew 6 and 25, I believe, where it talks about, therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? It's a simple statement. We're always worried about what we don't have. I can't go shopping for this. But life is more than that. They had this saying years ago, long before me, generations before were saying it, just wake up and smell the roses. Meaning, wake up and be excited about whatever that day is and look at the beauty around you. Just kind of focus from that as opposed to the negative. Or another way of saying it, look at your glass. Is it half empty or half full? And you want to look at it from the half full perspective as opposed to half empty. When you look at it like that, then you're able to get through each and every day and you feel like you're making progress. The second one I want to give you is look at what's around you and use it. Look at what's around you and use it. Oftentimes, we don't realize that we have so many opportunities to do things that are surrounding us. It may not be the things that we're accustomed to doing. It may not formulate in the same way, or it may be harder to get it started, or just different. But look at what's around you. Maybe there are things that you already said that I need to start doing this, and you never did. Maybe there are things there that you didn't realize that, I could go out and do these things. Case in point, during the time of the shutdown globally, that a lot of folks were thinking, I can't go to the gym. I always go to the gym. I go to the gym first thing in the morning. I can't do it. Well, what do? Well, you got to look at it differently. You say, well, what can I do? Maybe I have a yard or a backyard. So I formulate exercises that I can do outside. Maybe you're in an apartment or so you can't. But you may have stairs where you can get some of the exercise by going up and down your stairs, right? Maybe there's certain exercises that you can do that maybe you can't do heavy weightlifting, but there are other things that you can do resistance-wise and that you can get involved with. You change the way that you train. That's all you do. And so you have those things that are there. So you utilize them. Those things that may not have been used for exercise by you in the past. But maybe you now realize I can set up a program for myself and now actually get a good workout that way. You got to look at it from the standpoint of what's around you as opposed to what's not around you. Too many times people complain and just say, I don't have. But yet there are all kinds of opportunities there. And then look at it, I'm going to call it the MacGyver mindset. You ever watch that show, especially the original one, where he could make solutions out of anything? Just he looks around to see where all the pieces are that can formulate tools and things that he would need. That same concept is what we need when we're in these types of situations to combat boredom. What you end up doing is say, well, look at the things I have. What can I create or do to make what I need or allow me to do the things that I want to do? So look at it from that perspective of saying that I'm going to use what's there. Let me give you a third one. Try something different. That's a real mind blower, right? People are accustomed to doing things the same way all the time. And often when we look at things the same way, we miss out on opportunities of doing something different. I mentioned in the beginning that part of boredom was because people are looking for a way to get the thrill or excitement. But the revelation here is this: you can get excitement or a thrill by doing something different. Maybe it's not the thing that you've been used to doing day in and day out for years now, but you may be able to go do a different type of task or exercise or get a different hobby. Look around and just see, well, what else can I do that might be exciting? And sometimes you don't know that you like it until you at least try it. So try something different. So those who say, I don't like cooking, maybe during this time, you try to come up with a few different recipes, use the internet, get something, and just say, I'm going to try this differently. I don't usually like it, but maybe I will. And you never know, you might end up coming up with a new hobby. Maybe you have a hobby of building something, but you never thought it was something you would really like, but then you start doing it and you realize this is actually fun. I want to spend more time with it. And by doing these things, doing something different, it satisfies your need to want to do something, and you're getting satisfaction and excitement and some joy from it. And so it prevents you from being bored because you have something else to focus on. And so that's very important, a way to get through this period and not experience boredom. We want to make sure that you think about it, and you think about it from a perspective that's a healthy perspective and a good perspective. I know a lot of times I had certain ways I did things, and even when it came to food and all the others. But when I met my wife, or girlfriend, fiance, then wife, she kept exploring things with me and expanding the things that I focused on. And so I got to the point that I would try something different. Simple thing, just in passing, I never liked spicy food when I was younger. But then I met my wife and she did, and different types of foods. And so I got to the point that I realized I really did like it because I tried it and it wasn't what I thought. I had a preconceived notion or an idea that I wouldn't like it, but I realized that I did. So what I'm saying to you is, no matter what during this time, try something different that you normally wouldn't have. That's legal, right? Something different that you normally wouldn't have, but maybe it's something that would just give you a different thrill or satisfaction. The next one, establish a schedule. Establish a schedule. You see, getting up every day, especially during these times when you're in, it's not good to just get up and have nothing to do and you have no idea what to do with your time. I would strongly suggest that you make a schedule of things that you want to get done each day, of some things that you want to focus on, no matter how small, but make it such that it can take up a portion of your day. You don't have to do a schedule where it takes up every minute, but you do a schedule where it says that in the morning I want to do one or two things, whatever they are. And in the afternoon, I might only do one thing. And then at that point, you say, then it's free time. But at least you have something that you get up and look forward to. And it actually gives you a sense of accomplishment. You see, when you have a schedule and something to marry your time to, there is a chance for you to go through and get a sense of satisfaction, that you have a purpose in your day, in your life. And that makes your time go faster. That makes you feel better about yourself because you've accomplished something. It just gets to the point of working in your whole well-being. So when you have a schedule, it works that way. I usually, if I'm working from home or have a weekend, I'll set up something that I want to get done during the day. It's rare that I don't have something on my schedule, and my family will tell you that. And so you look at, okay, what needs to happen or what things do you want to get done? And then it kind of gets you through it every moment. So I would invite you to do that, because then you'll find that you're not bored. You'll find at that point that I've got some things that I want to do. I can see day by day that I'm making progress in different areas. So I really am not bored at all. Let me give you another one. This is the fifth one. And this is really simple. Number 5 is call somebody or contact somebody. And you're thinking, what does that have to do with boredom? Well, You don't have to be on the phone all day, or you don't have to be messaging people all day long. But the thought here is this. You're looking and you're looking at the well-being of other folks, and you call people that will kind of, I guess, uplift you and you can uplift them. And then you're having conversations, so it's satisfying the social need that many folks have. And you're able to talk a bit. I wouldn't say spend your whole day doing that. I don't think that's productive. But you spend some portion of time just calling, contacting, or interacting with some folks. Now make sure that the folks you contact or interact with aren't the ones that bring you down every time you speak to them. That every time it's like a cloud of gloom that comes over the conversation, because all they can do is think about what's wrong with the world or what's about to go wrong. Well, those people I would advise you not to interact with too much. I would advise you to interact with folks that you can just have a conversation with, that even might be able to uplift or give humor to one another. People that would, positively impact your view of things. It's those people that you need to talk to and interact with, and then you can help them in their time of being at home, and you can be helped also during that conversation. And if you have one of those funny, humorous conversations, it gives you energy, and you're able to now go on for the rest of your day. So contact somebody, interact with someone. And by doing so, you're also getting to the point where you are checking on their well-being. You may not know it, but you may have just been someone that kind of made their day by just you calling them at that time. So that's what I would do. And you could even do a schedule of folks that you may call on certain days. But that's another one that will take away some boredom. The sixth thing is something that's a novel idea, something that's really good that I want to make sure that you hear. And I'm joking, sort of. But just use that 4-letter word called read. Read. A lot of people don't read today. A lot of folks will just watch things. And there's nothing wrong with watching, but you got to read to increase your thinking, your critical mind, all those things. Find a book to read. I would strongly advise you to read the Bible. Book number 1, the Bible. All the things that pertain to life are in it. All the things that pertain to life and godliness you will find there. So the first thing is that. And you can always get some type of explanation to what you're reading. There are all kinds of other helps that you can find on the internet to help you learn. Maybe you put a plan together that you're going to read a certain amount during this time that you're off. Off from interacting with everyone physically on a regular basis. But I would say read. In addition to that, I would say go read some things and read some topics for hobbies. It doesn't have to be fictional. It can be non-fictional. It doesn't have to be along the lines of things that you always read, but maybe there's something you always wanted to know about, and so you begin to read them. You begin to read information about them. You begin to learn about them. The key word. You're learning something different. So when you're reading, you take some time to do that. When we were younger and our kids were in the early stages, like elementary and middle and everything else, we had it such that our kids didn't spend all their time on electronic devices. I mean, they did things, they had computers, and we worked it, but what we did is that we set aside time where they turned everything off and they had to read. That was part of it, because that increased their thinking and their ability. And I believe that's very important. It lets your mind even go and imagine other things. It gets that creativeness going when you're able to read. And you're able to learn things that from a different perspective that otherwise you would never have thought of, or you would never have experienced. So read. And I'm going to give you one other one. And I alluded to this much earlier in the podcast. But again, when you want to fight boredom, there are things that you can do. And number 7 is exercise. And these are things that I try to do, and most days I do, but not always. And exercise in all different forms. Just because someone says exercise does not mean that you have to jump 10 feet in the air and do 2,000 push-ups and do 500 crunches and everything else. And maybe there are those people who do that. But for the average person, I have good news. Maybe you're able to go out just for a walk and not interact or cause any issues with your local environment as far as their regulations about going out. Maybe you're able to walk in your yard or walk up and down stairs. Maybe you're able to just do some knee bends and things like that, or lying on the floor and lifting your head up in the air, your feet up in the air. Or maybe you're doing planks, or maybe you're just stretching and things like that. But that exercise kind of gives you energy in your body. The exercise keeps you moving and makes you feel more vibrant. And then when you match that with some sunlight, it gives you a better perspective. It gives you a better mood. It gets you to the point of giving a better outlook for the world and things that are around you for your day. That exercise is important, and I would strongly advise you to do some things and walk around and keep moving, no matter your age, to be able to keep moving. The thing that I would even say for folks that are at home and their young kids are at home, find a way to give them some time to burn some energy, which is exercise. If you can't get out to a yard or anything at all, find a way to create an obstacle course inside or something like that. Maybe we used to do that. There was a time when we lived in a certain part of Maryland that in one room everything was cleared out, so we used that room to be that exercise time. And it worked for a while until we then got furniture in there. But for that period of time, we were able to let them run and do some things, and let them do some things that would burn energy for their sake and also for ours as parents. So as grown-ups, we need to be able to also know how to burn that energy. And so find some ways to do it. You're not racing against the elite athletes of the world. You're trying to just keep yourself going and improve on a day-to-day basis. And so I would give you those 7 things to help you fight boredom. And then for everything that you do, just, thank the Lord that you have another day. Don't succumb to everything you see on all of the media outlets and everything else that makes you look at the negative, but get to the point of just thanking the Lord for another day. And so when you think about those 7 things I gave you and marry it with just thanking the Lord for another day, you can fight boredom. You can go through each day, no matter how long you are away from what had been your normal routine. You can actually go through each day and feel like you've accomplished something. And you look at it as if I'm making progress each time. So I want you to know that you don't have to be bored. I want you to know that really you should be able to go through this and just know that everything is going to work out well, and that you will actually enjoy each day that you have. So these are times when you want to make the most of the opportunity that's in front of you. And you don't want to lose out on it because you feel bored. When you go through and address it, using these concepts, using these steps that I just gave you, then you will see that everything will work out well. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that you will take me up on these things, and I hope that you would use them, put them to use, and then that way you will get the joy and the smile on your face saying, this works for me. I want you to just correspond to us and let us know that this has been a benefit to you. You can find us on our church ministry website called Make Plain Jesus, and it's makeplainjesus.org. Or you can just send us an email at contactus@makeplainjesus.org. When you do that, just put in the subject matter, Make It Plain, as from the podcast, so that we'll know that you've got some feedback. Hopefully this is helpful. We want to interact with you. We want to be of help to you. And so when we're able to have this privilege and opportunity, we just want to make sure that it is hitting the mark with you. Stay tuned for the next podcast that will come. Continue to just follow us and be involved with us. and just continue to come back and listen, because various topics we will be discussing that will help you and make it plain in your life. Have a good one.